Once upon a time, in a shady forest, lived a black crow. Now, this was no ordinary crow. This crow was a very proud crow, and this crow had a very bad habit. He would not listen to anyone. If someone offered him advice, he would simply ignore them. Instead, he preferred to do things his own way. One fine morning, this proud crow was flying over the trees. Suddenly, he spotted a piece of cheese lying on a rock below. It was a big piece of cheese, yellow and creamy. It looked absolutely delicious.
Now, the crow loved cheese more than anything else in the world.
So when he saw this cheese, he could not resist. Quickly, he swooped down and grabbed it in his beak. Then he flew up to a tall oak tree and perched on a high branch. That's where he liked to eat his breakfast. As he held the cheese in his beak and looked around, he couldn't help but feel very proud. Oh, yes, I am the luckiest crow in the forest today, he thought. I have found the biggest, the best piece of cheese. No other bird can boast of having such a prize. Meanwhile, at the foot of the oak tree, a reddish-brown fox was busy hunting for food. This was no ordinary fox. This was a very clever fox. He was sharp and quick, and he was hungry. Now, as the fox sniffed the air, he smelled the delicious aroma of cheese. Immediately, his ears pricked up. Did someone say cheese? He wondered. So he looked up and saw the crow sitting on the branch above, and he also saw the piece of cheese in the crow's beak. Now, the fox really wanted that cheese, but he knew he couldn't just grab it. The crow was sitting quite high up, and the fox wasn't good at jumping. So he needed a plan. As he thought for a moment, a clever idea popped into his head. First, he had to get close to the crow. But how? Well, he had heard that crows loved flattery. So he decided to try that. So the fox started to walk towards the tree. Then he raised his head and called out to the crow.
"Oh, dear crow, how magnificent you look today."
Your feathers are so shiny and your eyes sparkle like the morning dew. You are truly the most beautiful bird in this entire forest, and your voice, oh, I have heard tales of your wonderful singing. I am sure it must be the most melodious sound in all the land. Please, dear crow, bless my ears with just one song. Just one tiny little song. The crow puffed up his chest with pride. All that flattery made him feel very important. He forgot all about the cheese in his beak. He forgot all about everything except for his own pride. The crow opened his mouth wide, ready to sing his very best song. But wait, before he could sing, the fox asked him one more thing. Oh, dear crow, before you sing, may I ask a small favor? Please, please, let me see if your beak has any crumbs. Is that piece of cheese still there? I would love to know. The crow was totally charmed by the fox's sweet words. He didn't even think for a second. He simply opened his mouth even wider, showing the fox the cheese in his beak. As soon as the fox saw that cheese, his tail started wagging with excitement. Quickly, he ran around the tree, and in one swift movement, he jumped up and snatched the cheese out of the crow's beak. The crow was left with nothing but his pride and his song. When he saw that the fox had stolen his cheese, he started flapping his wings and squawking loudly. But the fox was already gone. He disappeared into the bushes with the piece of cheese in his mouth. The crow sat on that branch feeling very sad. He realized that his pride had cost him his breakfast. He regretted listening to the fox's flattery. He wished he had been more careful. Now, this is a very famous fable. It teaches us an important lesson about the dangers of flattery. Look at the crow in this story! He was so proud, and he loved to hear compliments. In fact, he loved to hear compliments more than he loved cheese. That's why the fox used flattery to trick him. Foxes know that crows love cheese, but they also know that crows love flattery even more. So he complimented the crow over and over again. He said all sorts of nice things about him, and he kept doing it until the crow couldn't take it anymore. He simply couldn't resist all that flattery. That's why he opened his beak and showed the fox the cheese. Do you think the crow was foolish? Of course he was. But remember, foxes are even more cunning. They use all sorts of tricks to fool other animals. That's why it. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like the video.